G'day, my name's Stuart Chignell and I'm an ecologist and environmental consultant. And one of the things that has been my job as an environmental consultant is, when policies are put forward, is to consider the unforeseen consequences so that they become seen and not unforeseen. A piece of information I want to share with you is that, did you know when a mining company activates its mining lease that amateur prospectors are no longer allowed access to that land? They get kicked off it. Now let's consider a situation, years from now, government's changed, and a mining company comes along and activates its lease, wants to turn it into a mine. Suddenly, no longer... Spiders. Suddenly no longer available to amateur prospectors. They get kicked off it. Going with the hypothetical. 10, 15 years from now, the amateur prospecting community has died because all the areas which they used to be allowed to prospect in, they've been kicked out of via the Great Forest National Park proposal. Well, also due to the Great Forest National Park, the hunting community, the camping community, the bike riding community, the dog walking community, the horse riding community, a lot of them are gone as well. So who is available to stand up for the forest? I would suggest, in that scenario, it's going to be a lot less people. Alternative hypothetical, let's say the Great Forest National Park doesn't go through. Can you see that amateur prospectors would be standing right alongside other protesters of a mine, maybe not for environmental reasons, but maybe only for selfish reasons, but they would still be there, protesting against the mine because they would want continued access to what obviously would be a gold-bearing area. Now, as an environmental consultant, this was part of my job, was to look at proposals and predict the unforeseen consequences. Because in sustainability, it's often not about choosing what's good for the environment, it's often about what's choosing the least harmful option. What I want you to consider is that the Great Forest National Park, as much as it sounds good, is actually a more harmful option than allowing prospectors and other groups continued access to the forest. Because it's my firm belief that the more activities within the forest are restricted, the smaller the community is going to be that uses the forest, and the less people using the forest is going to mean more people abusing the forest, whether that be just dumping their rubbish because there's no one to see them do it, or in years to come, when under another government, proposals will come in to log the forest, mine the forest, whatever. Now, if you've been a supporter of the Great Forest National Park up until this point, even if you've made a submission in supporting it, consider making a new submission. If you haven't made a submission, then it'd be a good idea, because the Great Forest National Park isn't going to protect the forest. In fact, I think it's actually going to do the forest harm. And that's my professional opinion as an ecologist, as an environmental consultant. And yes, I've got a personal stake in this because I am a prospector, I am a camper, don't have a dog to walk, but I'd like to. Love to ride horses in the forest. And there's a whole stack of activities that I did as a kid that will be banned under this proposal. And I'm not sure I'd have the love of the forest, the connection that I have with the forest, if I wasn't doing those activities as a kid. So just have a think is all I'm saying. Catch you around. Talk soon.